going to be sharing my screen. I'm going to be going back and forth between our documentation and a brand new AWS instance that I've just turned up. And so let's start sharing. And if anybody else joins in, we'll remember to tell them we're recording, and we'll remember to see if they have questions or concerns. Okay, so I will start sharing. I'm going to go ahead and just share my whole desktop, which is a little big, but so this is our website, codaprotocol.com, and it's under Docs Getting Started. So if you just started from the main website, up top we have this little banner, Testnet Beta is live, so that's where we're starting. And here we are with getting started. Our testnet has been up since mid last week, almost a week now. And we're calling it our beta release. It does have bugs, it does have problems, but we're looking for people who want to work with us and install and go through the experience of joining our testnet. It needs to run on a Mac or Linux box. We recommend at least 4 core processors and 8 gigs of RAM. That happens to be exactly the specs of the AWS instance. I'm using a C5 extra large if you speak AWS. And we say at least a 1 megabit connection. All nodes on the cloud usually have a lot better connections, but that's where we're at. So these are the Mac instructions, but we're going to go right into these Debian instructions down below. And so in my other window over here, this is on my desktop. I'm going to clear that out. I have just set up this EWS instance, so I'm SSHing to it. So here I am on an EWS instance on the Amazon cloud. So I'm no longer using my local MacBook. I could do this on my local MacBook, but there's lots of other complexities there. It's easier just to use an AWS instance and throw it away. I have to become root. I tend to run things as root, so that's the sudo command to become root, and hopefully it'll let me become root. There we go. I can show you that this machine has not been up very long. It's been up for 36 minutes, so just before the call, I said I need an Ubuntu 18.04 instance, and that's what I want to use for my install. So hopping over to our instructions, we talk about, so packages come in a thing called deb files. And these are some steps that tell Ubuntu to trust our repository of deb files. And that allows you to download our packages, our content. So I'm running these 3 commands. And after we've run the third one, yes, it will go out and download a pretty large binary. It's almost a gigabyte of our Coda Testnet POSTake medium curves. This is our current image and our current testnet version. And that's all embedded in the lines here about what version we're downloading. So as soon as that's done, we're at 90%. So this is a pretty fast internet connection. It just downloaded a gigabyte in seconds, so that's awesome. It's unpacking it, so it basically unloads it all onto the system. Pretty quick. And we'll give that a few more seconds. And back in the instructions, it says the next thing to do is run coda-help to see if it's been installed. We don't currently support Windows. We do have an interest in doing that down the road, but it's not there now. But we have native Mac binaries and native binaries that we know work on Ubuntu and Debian and have worked on some other Linux distros as well. You're also, if you're brave, you can look into building from source. I would not recommend that yet. We can help you do that, but it won't be easy. So it's still going, let it keep going. If you're running like on your own computer in behind a NAT, behind a firewall, or from home, you probably need to look into port forwarding. Most people don't have direct access to the internet, so we have a little bit of instructions about that here. But this AWS node is out there on the open internet, and I opened up all ports that matter for it, so we don't have to worry about port forwarding. So the next step is actually setting a transaction. Let's go back to our node. So it finished installing. I'm going to exit being a root user, and so I'm back as the Ubuntu user, which is the default. I'm going to say coda-help. I should ask, are the remote attendees able to see the words on the screen pretty well remotely, or is it all too fuzzy? Would it help to make it bigger?
Yeah, it looks good.
Great.
Good, thank you.
Thanks, guys. So I guess we're on to the next steps. So we've finished the first page, on to sending a transaction. So sending a transaction, the first thing you need to do is actually connect to the network. And this node is just standing by itself. And so we need to run a daemon. And this is the command to start a daemon. I am going to do one additional thing. I'm going to run it in a command called tmux. Tmux just lets me do, it's already installed, that's awesome. Tmux lets me bounce back and forth between windows. So here's the command that I took from the instructions, and it says start a Coda daemon and connect to the peer hello Coda. So hello Coda is just a DNS name that we set up out there on the internet, and it says connect on 8303. And so hopefully that will begin doing what we just asked it to do. Now, because I'm impatient, I will open a second window and type Coda client status and see if we can talk to the daemon yet. I probably can't. Oh, I can. That's great. So Windows 0 is over here. Oh, great. This is what it's starting. It's starting a bootstrap, pausing block production, so it can't produce any blocks. Oh, daemon ready. Now I can connect, and it connected to some peers. So that's awesome. We've connected to the running testnet. So I'm going to go into window 1 and run this command that I just typed before, Coda client status, and that will hopefully, so it says it's in bootstrap. So it's been up for 50 seconds, and bootstrap means that it's trying to connect to the network, it's trying to get that state of like, what is the view of the network, but it doesn't have it yet. Most of the other things in here are debug, but this is an important thing that we have connected to a peer, and that's our hello Coda peer, and I'm hoping that that will show more peers once we become connected. Now this can take up to 5 minutes, maybe even 10 to 15. We have, if you see here, there's a slot duration. This is 300 seconds or 300,000 milliseconds. So every 5 minutes, every 300 seconds, we produce, we have a slot. And a slot is just a time period that new blocks can happen. A lot of, if you think of a clock or just a cycle, each slot represents a cycle, and the things that happen on our network right now happen at this really slow rate of every 5 minutes. It's intentional right now to keep, run the machine slowly, process things slowly, give everybody time to analyze what's happening, but at the same time, it causes a delay when you start up. So that's why we haven't seen anything start yet. I'll show you one of my favorite Linux hacks is the command watch. So I'm going to run watch Coda client status, and every 2 seconds, it will run that command and show me the output. So just up here in the window, I can lazy do this and not type it every second. So I'm hoping around 300 seconds, we will no longer be in sync status bootstrap, but move to sync status synced. And so let's go back to the instructions and see what they say about where we are and what's going on. So we connected to the seed peer. The daemon needs to be running, so I ran it in the other window, so I won't kill it by accident. Checking connectivity, so that's where I was typing the Coda client status. For now, it may take up a minute while it connects. We will first see error daemon not running, that's okay. Here we are talking about bootstrap. If you see bootstrap, it means the node is bootstrapping. I'm basically just reading the instructions and repeating the things that I said, but helping us review that, making sure we're in the right place. You may need to be patient. This step may take some time, and for all the nodes to get all the data it needs. When it's synced, you get a synced, and you'll be connected to a few peers, then you know you're working. Great. We can do this next step actually before we create accounts. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. This is about creating your own wallet. So a wallet is a private and public key combination, and a wallet uniquely identifies you as a user. So let's go over and see if we are still in Bootstrap. That's fine. I'm going to open a new window for us to work with. Control B, create. So here's our new window, and I will do Coda client generate key pair, and then with a private key path, keys my wallet. So I need to set a password. I'm just going to use a terrible password of Coda, and I'm going to type it again, Coda. And so now I have created a public key on the ledger. Hey, Carrie. The public key that I have here will let other people transfer funds to me. And so that is the first step once we are online, that people can send funds to me. They can actually send it to them now. You can go ahead and create a key for yourself, and as long as you tell someone that key, they can send funds to it. Your node does not have to be online to receive those funds, but it's helpful just to have a key. And obviously, if I can't send funds myself from this balance without my private key. But the public, this long string here is our public key, and anybody who has that, I can send that, get on television and say, hey, send money to here, and then hopefully that will work. So we can actually, let's go back and look at our sync status. So it's 300 seconds, we are still in Bootstrap. We will hold on to that, and let's go back to the instructions. So we created that new account. Again, the public key is can be shared freely with anyone. Private key is secret. Never share it with anyone because it's a password to your funds. So here's the bit about the faucet. I love that it's not obvious what a faucet is. So that's just, I think we're stuck in this world where we know these things. So there's a faucet channel on our Discord. So let's go ahead and take our public key and go over into Discord as it says. Let me see if I can bring up Discord here. Window, bring it all to the front. So faucet. Here is our faucet. It looks like it was last used at 2:37, so that's not that bad. So I'm going to do a request for funds. And I'm saying $request, and I give my public key. Oh, I type it because I am a human, and I'm worried that the robot will not take my edit. Interesting. I'm going to try just calling it without the typo, REQU. Aha, so you can't typo your request. There it is. Carrie, I saw you were online. If you're paying attention, will you approve my, awesome. Who did this? Somebody approved it. Several people approved it. Christine approved it, and Carrie, thank you. So the robot, Tiny, says, hey, I'm going to send you a transaction. And here's a summary of that transaction. This is just a JSON output, and it's showing that I should receive 100 Coda. There was a fee to process that transaction, also paid by the Faucet account. And it's this particular token here is a unique ID for it. And then from, so this is who it came from, and this is who it went to. So we have sort of all the details here. There's a memo field here, which I don't know what this particular memo means, but that's helpful. So let's go back and check our node. Going back to window 1. Ooh, dreaded Bootstrap. And look at that, I have no, oh, no, I still have one peer. I'm still in Bootstrap. I am hopeful that we are going to come online. I'm going to go to Windows 0, shows connected to some peers. Oh, Bootstrap complete. Look at that. That was perfect timing. Starting transaction, Frontier control plays. There's a little extra logging about the daemon. Let's go to the watch page. Cool. Okay, so now we show synced. This is awesome. So this is showing the current state of the network. So that took about 450 seconds. So a bit over a 1-slot window, but it still worked. The block height is 1,688. That means each slot we try to produce a block, and so for 1,688 slots we've produced blocks. So that's how far we've gone from our origin Genesis block. So this network has been up for a week, almost a week. There are 140 accounts now. So those are accounts with balances. When I just created that wallet, that's an empty account, so it had no balance, but there are at least 140 with balances. I'm looking for what else in here is particularly useful for other folks. I think those are the main elements. So the next question, let's go back to our...
I have a question.
Oh, awesome, yeah, go ahead.
Why is there only one peer?
Yeah, so our peer system is a little strange. It's a work in progress. We're about to swap it out. But the way the peer system works is when you connect, you say, hey, this is my IP. Give me a list of peers that are near me. And it's not near me in the physical or logical sense. It's in a distributed hash table. So it's supposed to provide you with some additional peers. I'm actually a little surprised that we don't see the other peers there. Most of my other nodes, I've seen that come up. I don't know. I would I know how to go look for it, but I can't do it without potentially exposing things that I don't want to expose. So I will check that after. But normally I would expect multiple peers there. So that's a good question.
Is there like a threshold for how many peers you kind of want to see?
Yeah, well, okay, so the O1 group, we have about 7 nodes running on the network. I'm gonna just go look at a graph that I can share with you guys right now. So here's some testnet stats. So the total number of peers that that particular node sees right now is 9, but it's been as high as 16. So this is the view from that seed node. And the seed node says that it sees 9 other peers right now. So I would really expect when I connected to it to have learned about some of those other peers. I don't know why we didn't. And I'm going to save that troubleshooting for later. But so this is the last 24 hours. I can show you like the last 2 days, what that looks like. And so you can see peers that have been connecting to our network, the number of accounts that have been growing as our testnet has been growing, and these are the blocks. So every time a slot produces a block, you want to see a nice, relatively straight line here, which we do. So this just gives you a sense. Let's do it a little bit. 7 days should actually go beyond when it began. But there's a history of just our testnet so far. This testnet is called Dry Plants. It's our internal name. It's also the Hello Coda one. There was a prior testnet that was even private, but it didn't run as long as this one. So there's just some history, if that's helpful. I don't know if this graph is visible. Was that at all visible to you guys?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So again, I don't know the answer why we're not showing multiple peers. I would like to better understand that. But I'm also, we are hoping to replace that subsystem pretty soon. So I'm trying not to spend too much time troubleshooting it. But let's go back to the tutorial and see where we're at. So we requested some Coda. They should have sent some money to that. And now we should try to get our balance. Okay. So this will validate if we've received that currency. So we say Coda client get balance, and then we put the address. So we say, here's that private key or public key again, we put the address. There are no funds. So what I believe is going on is that even though Tiny has sent a transaction at 4:17, there may not have been yet a 5-minute window. Let's do the math. That would be 4:22, which we just passed. So I may not have gotten this transaction, or it may not have been processed yet. We can sit here and put this in a watch. And it will every 2 seconds run this command, and we'll know whether or not those funds transferred. I can also go back and look. We were at block 1688 right now. I want to watch when that number goes beyond 1688. So each block can include transactions, and we want to, my transaction can't go through until this block has been broadcast to the network. So that would be the thing to look for in that channel. Okay, there we go. You might see not found it, no account found at this account. Be patient, depending on network traffic, it may take a few blocks.
No, I just grabbed the number and I put it in my Zoom client.
Sorry about that.
Sorry about that. I was just, I was on mute. I didn't mean to do that.
Oh, thanks for joining. Cool. I should say for the joiners, we are recording this meeting. So if you are uncomfortable with that, let me know in Discord and we can do another time a less not recorded message. But okay, 1688 is our current block. Back to the instructions. No account found. We're going to be patient. We can look at our daemon logs for new blocks. We can run Coda client status. So making a payment, I can't send funds because I don't have any funds yet. So we are blocked on this. So we'll pause before we head to that step. Now might be a great time to hit up questions, but yeah, let's see who's joined and see. Okay, I have a Mr. JS4, a Mr. Leo, hello. Sasha S. Fox, this is great. We have a lot of new participants. I've only been walking through our tutorial, but this is a call for everybody here. So if there are things you would like us to cover, if you have questions about our testnet, let's take a pause, wait for this currency to transfer, and I'm gonna open it up. So feel free to unmute yourself and tell me what you would like to learn today and what I can help you with. Don't be shy.
Hey, what's going on? This is Jimmy from the SFox team. There's a few of us in the chat. We've been actually talking about you guys, and we're hoping that you guys can maybe explain kind of at a high level how the Coda blockchain works compared to something like a Bitcoin or even something like a Zcash. I think could be a good comparison.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can give a few sort of comparisons that I can think of off the top of my head. Unlike Bitcoin and Zcash, we're not a proof of work. We're a proof of consensus, or consensus-driven algorithm. So we're not dependent on burning, CPU time or GPU time or ASIC time to process. That it is a function of how we scale, but it's not. It's like orders of magnitude less. I mean, our concern is more about, well, just keeping the compute part of the equation scalable and not needing to have these vast server farms to run a cryptocurrency. So Zcash does use SNARKs. So we also, SNARKs are a pretty big component of what we do, but our unique aspect is a thing called a recursive composition of SNARKs. And we use that to effectively compress the blockchain and compress the view of all balances and the ledger and all transactions. And so we don't, the benefit of that, and that's much better than Zcash or Bitcoin, is we can transfer you the whole state of the ledger in a relatively small footprint. Honestly, this is all really well described on our website. And I think there's some graphics that sort of highlight that. So I think a thing about some of these other blockchains is if you want to start becoming an active node on their network, you have to download hundreds of gigabytes of data to even begin. And because of our network's use of recursive ZK SNARKs, you can have a very small amount of information and still have verifiable proof of all of the ledger. And so that allows much lighter weight nodes to become full operating nodes on the network. That's, I think, the main user benefit. I mean, you can then translate that to if you need to write applications that use Coda, if you want to build other complex things, if you want to run Coda on a mobile device on a very low speed network, that is possible. And so that's some of what we're trying to convey in some of these messages, that Coda, because of its lightweight representation of the blockchain, allows for a lot of flexibility and scalability. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that makes great sense.
Cool. It's why I like working here. It was what I got excited about. So let's see. Haha, 1691. We've definitely moved forward lots of blocks. But there are still no funds in this account. I'm gonna run it one more time. No funds. Well, that's concerning. So back in window 2, I'm gonna make sure I did not typo the request when I sent fund request in the Faucet channel. It ended in NM. I'm not sure. Yeah, so that's the exact same account. Might be a duplicate nonce. But I haven't tried to send another account. Carrie, if you want to try to send me from a private account, I'm asking for a special favor here for our live demo. But yeah, we're not seeing this balance here yet. We're not sure why. And I can't, I don't want to force it. So we'll keep waiting on that. I saw there were 10 participants here, so there have to be some other questions. You say you're with the SFox team. I'm not familiar with you guys. I apologize for that. Are you guys in the Discord channel? Like, are you actively working in here?
Yeah, we're actually not in the Discord channel. We actually just came across you guys. I want to say like last week.
Cool.
And yeah, so we're, I guess for lack of a better word, we're kind of like a prime dealer in the space. So similar to kind of interactive brokers.
Okay.
Been around in the market since 2014. So
Okay.
very much OGs in the space, focus heavily on crypto. And then the team that's on right now, myself, I'm on the lead on the custody and blockchain stuff. And we have Leo, I believe, who's on the call, who's one of our trading engineers. And I think one of our ops guys is also interested. So we just saw the post. And
yeah, did you guys join in on the network? Are you active members on it right now?
Not yet. How do we get into the Discord chat? We're on Telegram right now.
Oh yeah, so our Telegram is mostly full of robots, I think. So what I recommend is I bet Christine is writing that to you right now in chat. Let's see if she is. Aha, Alexander's asking a question. I believe our Discord is at the bottom. There it is, at the bottom of our main website.
Is that it? Okay.
There's a link to it there, and then that will take you off to Discord land. That is actually for more focused conversation, is a really much better source. On Discord, we have the Testnet General, which is where you can just get started, and people will help you. And then once you've shown that you are an active member and connected, you can get elevated to this Testnet Connected, where we can have a little bit more thorough conversations about our system and things like that, just as a two-stage thing. And then I use this Testnet operations channel. So if the faucet is offline, if we're having technical difficulties with the nodes that we're running, I'll be posting that in here. But that's more just a running log for me about our operational changes and what's happening on our network. I hope that's a helpful first pass just about what those things are. Let's see if we have any currency. No funds. All right. So let's go back and stare and check on the questions, because there were a question from Alex. How can I set up notifications if something happens with the node? That's a great question. What I like to do, I'll show you some cool actions. So when that Coda client status command, it is for humans, of course. But if you add a -J, it's actually -JSON, I think, but -J is shorthand. You get an output in JSON. There, you can parse that. You can look for things that you care about, like does the blockchain size change, or have things happen on the network that you care about. We also have, and I think it's certainly worth mentioning, a GraphQL interface. I don't know where that's documented. Carrie, do you know if that's documented on our website yet?
Yep, under development.
I'm sorry, you broke up right there. So
developers.
Oh, okay. Developers, awesome. GraphQL API. So if you've been following the hotness in APIs, GraphQL is pretty great. It matches our views on types and well-typed systems. And anyway, we have built an entire wallet, which is not quite ready yet, but it's built on this GraphQL API. So we spent a lot of time making it a full-featured API. So I think back to the question from Alex, that would be probably the more detailed way to build software on top, or setting up notifications. I'm not going to give Yusuf remote control of my content, sorry. So yeah, Alex, that would be the right thing to do. But so maybe let me know, like, what sort of things are you hoping to track? Like maybe if your account balance changes, or, so let's see, I'm not sure if the account balance command has a JSON output. Nope. But I know there is a GraphQL API endpoint for getting balances. So that would provide you that same capability. Okay. Let's open up to other general questions. JS4, I don't know that I've met you, or Sasha. So do you guys have any direct questions or concerns or interests? Let me know. I will continue to check on our channel and continue to check on the faucet. Aha! So Carrie is seeing that that balance did transfer, and he thinks my node is out of sync, and that is definitely possible. So how do we test for that? We come over here and we look at Coda client status, and we say, are we moving forward? We're still at 1691. So then I would say,
maybe you requested to a different address than the one you were checking.
So I will run the exact same command that you did. How about that? So we will call get balance, check address.
No, yeah, that's right. I don't know.
Yeah. No funds. So what's fascinating right now is he's seeing a different account balance entirely. Let's try, I'm going to log into the seed node. I think, hello, Coda. So this is where you hackers should be watching closely. Coda, account balance. Just want to run the same command on that proper node that I know is running on the real live network. And it sees 100 Coda. Well, I think we found a bug in that we are definitely synced with the network. Let's see what our, we're in this little bootstrapping synced loop that I have seen before. Is that clock? So it's 23:37. No, so that message appears to have been finished. I could think of two easy things to do, relatively easy. I'm just going to kill the daemon. That's one approach. So we'll try that. So this daemon just died. I'm going to make sure that it's gone. It's gone. So this is actually also really helpful. We recommend whenever right now we know there are some bugs with some of our leftover config files. So you'll see there's this .coda config directory. So if you do have to kill your daemon and restart, we recommend you blow away this .coda config directory completely. And then we're going to restart the daemon. So it has no potential to have any prior state or any other information. So we're going to call that in that window, and in this window, we're going to go back to watching the status, which is going to start once the daemon becomes responsive. It will hopefully go into Bootstrap again. This may be related to not seeing all the peers. I don't know. Okay, so let's go back. Live demos are always fun. But what's great is this account that we've created, it has a global state, and it's already the account balance as seen by other users on the network has already transferred. So there's just something wrong with me connecting, which is problematic. Okay, we've been up 39 seconds. It says we're bootstrapping, connected to some peers. I only see that one peer. So again, that's a great question we had about why only one peer. I have a theory. Nope, I should allow inbound connections on these ports, so it's not that. Okay. So without another idea, we're going to be waiting another 5 minutes or so. So it's 4:40. I want to make sure I make good use of everybody's time. So if you've joined and you haven't had a chance to ask a question, feel free to holler or let me know. I think it would be awesome if everybody on the call who hasn't set up a node can give this a shot. We have the whole point system to help track people on our network and encourage people to join. Natalia, looks like you've unmuted. How can I help you? Oh, and she's remuted, so Natalia's out. But yes, just going through the instructions on our list here will grant you guys some points that we're giving away that they have no meaning except for good old competition. You're live. What's your question?
Hey, talking to me?
Yeah.
Hey, this is Leo, also from SFox. Another higher level question I guess I'm having is, I guess what trade-offs you guys are or what you get from using this type of your recursive implementation of SNARKs versus like, you know, a normal blockchain where all the transactions are recorded. You've said a couple times that it allows you to see the current state of the network.
Right.
Kind of implies to me that the transaction history isn't always there.
That's right. We have a ability to validate transactions through, we call it like a transaction receipt. But if you're just joining, unlike Bitcoin and Zcash, where you have to basically replay every transaction that has ever existed, we do not store that. That's in our standard daemon. You could easily implement a daemon that does capture and store every transaction, but then you're no longer scalable, right? So I think that's really one of the fundamental trade-offs is having a verifiable ledger without necessarily having every transaction ever, except for the ones that you care about. So I think you can choose to, in our GraphQL API, you can subscribe to transactions that you care about and log them over time. I don't think that anyone's formally proposed this, but I think there will probably be people who will intentionally record every transaction. It may be something that we do, it may be something that other people offer as a service, it may be something that just is necessary that we find to log transactions. So I think that's a TBD. I wish I could give you a more precise answer, but it's not part of the protocol that you can see the exact details of all transactions that have happened since the beginning. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So I guess it's kind of the idea would be that a client is able to run this as a node and is able to watch these blocks live. And if there's a relevant transaction, they can see that in the block, but they'd be able to record that at the time the block passes. But
exactly.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. That's right. Every block has each slot has should have a block that is shows up in it. We are now synced. Let me see if we can see our currency. There's our balance. So I don't know why we're still only seeing one peer, but our block height is 1692, which is a better number, higher than we were before. We are stuck in this weird little sync to bootstrap loop. I have seen a bug issued for that. I have not seen a bug for how come I'm not getting all the peers, so we should look into that. And but we are able to check our balance now. So we can proceed with the actual, let's move on to following out the rest of the instructions. So my first transaction, creating a new account, requesting Coda, making a payment. So this is the Echo service. I think that's fine. So we are going to send a payment to the Echo service. And the Echo service is sort of what it sounds like. You send it some money, it sends you some back. So we are going to send 20 Coda to the Echo service. This is just how you would manually set up a transaction with a fee of 5. So every transaction needs a fee associated with it. This goes into how the transactions are proven on the blockchain. So this will cost us 25 to do, and we should get some Coda back. So let's go ahead and run it. This document covers exactly what we just said. And we're going to go over here to the window. There's the command, hit return. I have to type my private key password. I did that. And off it went, dispatched payment with a really long ID and a receipt chain hash. So this receipt chain hash I could now share with someone else who is interested in analyzing and confirming that I've sent this transaction and they could see it happen. Now, my balance will still say 100 because the transaction has not gone through. So we can watch that. I'll just put watch around it. Whoa, not with caps. And we will know that the transaction has exited my account when it disappears. So we're going to remember 1692. And we'll go back to the instructions and see what it says. So now that we've sent it, we can just keep checking that balance. And you should see a lower balance after we send it out. So there's a question or a chat. Aha. We had a user who saw that they waited 4 hours, but then never saw their account. That's a bummer. Alex, I am just stating your questions out loud. I hope that's okay. Yeah, if our provers are down or if there's something else functionally wrong with the network, that would be blocking transactions. And that may be happening right now. I'm not really feeling great about only seeing one peer. What I see on our live node is 19 peers, and that's clearly a much more healthier condition. It may very well be that I have some sort of firewall rule on this brand new node that I omitted, but I thought I left all these ports open. So I don't have a good answer, but I don't feel comfortable troubleshooting that live, and we only have about 15 minutes left. So, but I promise I will dig into those. Other questions? Leo, you had some good top level questions that are helpful that I think you might get more details out of the white paper. You might get them on our website. But let me know if you have other thoughts like that.
I was just going to say, I was wondering who wrote the white paper and what their background is, because it's going to take me a week to get through that notation.
Yeah, I agree. The white papers are a little tough. I think it was mostly written by Izzy. Where is it on our paper? Let's see. Can you help me find it? Docs? Let's just ask the internet. Coda white paper. Our CTO Izzy is mostly responsible for it. We are working on an update that is hopefully a little bit easier to read. Let's see if this gets us there. Nope.
CDN dot would be it.
Yeah, this top link. Let me see.
It's the response to that tweet.
Oh, I should read it. This guy. All right, Isaac. Yeah, Isaac and Evan. Those are our founders. Isaac is our CTO. Evan is our CEO. They both sort of got some of the fundamental plans for building this async blockchain, and I agree. The math here is pretty hefty. It's above my level of comfortness with math, but I think you want your things to be well designed and have good basis behind them. So yes, we are working on an updated version of this white paper. And I don't know too much of what's changed or what the timeline is for that. Probably in the next month, but I can't promise that. And then there's also an intent from our engineering team to sort of build, I think we call it a yellow paper, where we really want to directly reference the code and how it maps to these algorithms and how we have done our implementation. So that's another more technical document that's coming down the pipe. Is that helpful, or I'm really jazzed that you're actually going deep dive into the white papers to understand the protocol more. That's great.
Yeah, I wanted, my comment about that was, about the notation was more of a compliment than anything else, because
oh, great.
It's quite rigorous, which I like.
I would recommend if you hop on Discord, we have Cryptography Cafe, which seems to be the only room that is casual like that. But that's a great place for asking more detailed questions about, so here's some questions about our SNARKs, here's some questions about where people are actually directly referencing the white paper. Like I know that's a great resource if you have, so our team, our company is not that big, but we're sort of in 3 little groups. There's a cryptography group, there's a sort of front end and product group, and then there's sort of our back end protocol group. And all 3 of them interact all the time, but that way you can help get if you get stuck or have questions, Discord's really the best place for that.
Thanks for the help.
Yeah, there's an OCaml channel if you have nuanced questions about how OCaml works. That's our primary programming language, and I think it's not that commonly used, so it's often a place where people have questions. Cool. All right, 10 more minutes. Let's see if there's anybody else who's joined. All right, let's go see if that transaction had any fruit. 75, awesome. So that means my outgoing transaction that I sent to the Echo service went out the door. And I now need to wait for the transaction to come back. And I think I actually lose money in this transaction because the Echo service itself needs to pay a fee to issue a transaction. But it's still just a proof of a validation that you can send money, you can receive money, and that your balances change with that. I'll show you one of my favorite commands. It's an advanced command, and it's a little bit hidden, but it's under Coda Advanced. all of our commands have a bash completion, so that's actually kind of nice. But let's see, get public keys. So you get pub keys, and then -w is for with balances. So this is basically show me the whole ledger in one big hit. And so you get bam, and that's all of the accounts in the ledger that are out there. You can run it with -j for JSON. And so you can see, if you like JQ for like pretty colors, JQ's not installed. Anyway, you can use this as a quick view of the entire ledger. How are our accounts changing? Where's money gone? But these are basically public key, balance, public key, balance, public key, balance. And I can run that. Remove the colors. But so you can see, all right, let's just cover a little bit about what's going on here. Up at the top, you have some accounts with a 1.6 million balance. These are our current staker balances. So staking is roughly correlated to the amount of currency you have. And so we have a few nodes that have a whole lot of currency, and then those are the ones that we're using to produce blocks and move the blockchain along, move the machine along. But these other accounts are accounts that we use for funding. We set aside some for some of the employees, but not a lot of people have taken those, used those. Most people just followed the instructions and used the faucet. And then every other balance here are users who have set up their own private keys and that we've sent money to, and they've bounced it around. So that's the entire current state of the world on the ledger. And if there were those graphs that I showed you guys. Hold on, this is in my way. So the ledger is currently 140 unique accounts that have a non-zero balance. So that's where we are right now. But that was just a quick view of it. So if you wanted to look at anyone else's balance or understand that, that's an option. I like a lot of the advanced commands. We have this thing called your trust status. So if you are behaving badly on the network, or most likely, a more likely case right now is if there is some bug being exhibited, you would be banned. So every node individually keeps a list of IPs that it's talking to, and if they begin sending bad information to it, they may get banned. So let's go look at the seed node and just kind of get a look at our current ban list there. Seed node's not responsive. Okay, so these are all of the 19 IPs that are connected. Some of them have a non-zero score. So disconnecting and reconnecting multiple times will eventually get you banned if you do that too often. So you need to have a node that is reliably up and has a pretty good internet connection. Sending bad data will get banned. So if you had a bug that was sending bad data, and I think we have seen a few of those surface. Anyway, this is just a low-level sort of troubleshooting command about understanding what's going on in the network at any given time. All right, I want to kind of wrap it up because it's 4:55. I feel like you guys are all welcome to join the Discord channel and chat with us there if you have more questions as you're turning up nodes. If you've never turned up a node before, I hope today was helpful and motivated somebody here to join. One more chat. Oh, hi, Calvin. My name is Joel. I'm Joel Krauska, Jkrauska, and I'm on the Discord. I am one of, okay, we have two, we call them protocol reliability engineers. We're very similar to a systems reliability engineer, an SRE or DevOps type individual. Myself and Connor, who will also be on some of these calls going forward, are responsible for maintaining the O1 nodes that are part of the running network. So we just keep them up and running. If you are into that type of content, we could do a talk on that. Like we use Terraform and Ansible to keep those nodes happy and bring them into being. And all of that code is also public. So we'd love to talk about that sometime. How about that? If there are questions or ideas for future talks, I'd love to hear about them now so we can sort of think about getting them ready for the next office hours.
I just had a question. Do you guys have a Docker wrapped version of the node anywhere?
We do. We have been fighting with it a little bit because of the way Docker handles UDP port forwarding. But if you do it with host networking mode, it will work. It's in our make file. It's not, I would not say it's fully ready. Can you maybe give us like a week or two to produce that? I can point you at a beta one now if you hopped in the chat channel, and I think we could find it for you. But yeah, I agree that is how a lot of people just deploy software now. I know that it doesn't work well on Docker for Mac is the main blocker. So if that was your intent, I would suggest using a virtual machine and just using bridge networking. Are you like an ECS type person, or what's your interest in Docker?
I'm just thinking from it'd just be easier to kind of throw it together using Docker. I think.
Agreed.
Yeah. On it. So yeah. I mean, and then because down the road for us at SFox at least, we're pretty much exclusively Docker with our nodes we run in production. So it's kind of
that's great. That's how I feel about systems as well. So that's really awesome. And yeah, we do have it's in our make files. It does work. It's not too hard to follow the instructions that we provided and create a Docker file. I think that's even on our main page. We call it like Docker Slim, and that actually would do. You could do that in I think 5 or 10 minutes. And if that's not well in our GitHub, I'll make sure that gets updated.
Cool. Yeah, we can figure it out.
Cool. Awesome. Great. And I think I'm gonna pull a plug. Thank you everybody for joining today.